Hello, my lovely friends, it's Margaret, and I am here to nerd out about Black Rabbit Hall by Ava Chase. I have been wanting to read more like thriller, suspense novels. Speaking of which, if you know of any good ones, hit up my comments section, please and thank you. But I have been trying to read more suspense and thriller because I really do enjoy that as a genre. I just don't read a lot of it. And I don't know a lot about it. Basically, when I didn't know what to listen to on my Overdrive app, this book was the only one that looked really interesting to me. Like, I read the description and immediately I was like, this is fascinating. I want to know more. This follows two women. The first one, Amber, is living in, I think, about the 1970s, and she lives at Black Rabbit Hall. It is her family home, and a tragedy has just occurred. Her storyline follows her in the year or two after that tragedy as she deals with it and deals with the changes that it brings to her family and deals with, some of the complications that arise because of that. And then the second character that we follow is Lorna. She is a young woman living in our time, so there's about 30 years between the two women, and she is getting married. She is in love with the Cornish countryside. She used to travel there with her mom, and she remembers Black Rabbit Hall being one of the places that they stopped to look at. And so she has decided that she wants to check it out as a wedding venue. When she gets there, there are some things that are a little bit weird and shady, and she and her fiance just aren't comfortable without knowing more about the house. So the owner of the house, Mrs. Alton, invites them to stay the weekend. Now, her fiance is not able to. He has work. She ends up going back to Cornwall and staying here at Black Rabbit Hall. As Lorna is spending this weekend here at this house, she starts to realize that some things are not as they should be, that she starts to kind of get wind of something that went wrong in the family, and so she ends up like getting drawn into this intrigue, trying to figure out what exactly happened. I had 2 books this month make the short list for my top 10 books of 2018 video, and this was one of them. I gave this 5 stars. It was so good. I will admit that at the beginning, the switching back and forth kind of annoyed me because we switched back and forth between Lorna and Amber. However, like, once you get a little bit in the way, like, you are suddenly, like, it's so obvious that these 2 stories are linked in some way that, like, you're just trying to find clues no matter whose story it is. Lorna is discovering clues that have an impact on Amber's story, and then in Amber's story, you're starting to see why things are the way they are in Lorna's story. Ava Chase did such a good job of just setting this atmosphere of this old gothic home where, like, time is not quite right, like, it just escapes from you, and you've got these, like, you can just feel, like, the coolness of the rambling woods, and you can, like, feel how, like, dank the corridors of this mansion are. Like, this book just, there aren't a lot of books where I feel like I'm actually in the story and a part of, like, the environment, and this book did that for me. Another thing that I really liked was the fact that you had these 2 different women that had 2 different stories and 2 different time periods, but were still trying to be, like, independent and still trying to figure themselves out. It's very interesting because they contrast in a way, because Amber's story is very much a coming of age story, but then Lorna's story is kind of like a returning to her roots story, but that still weaves together so very well. It is beautiful. I'm going to say that so many times in this review. I am not sorry, guys. Amber has such an interesting and complicated family dynamic, especially after the tragedy that happened, which I won't tell you because, like, you go in knowing something bad is going to happen, but you're not quite sure which bad thing it's going to be, because there are 2 possibilities. And so I don't want to ruin that for you. Lorna also has a very interesting family dynamic, but you don't get to witness it as much because her family is not a part of it, but you do get to see how that dynamic has influenced her and shaped her. Here is the thing, like, there is just such a sense of foreboding over this entire book, and it was fantastic. I loved it. You know you are building towards something else at the end of the novel because, like, the secret begins with the first tragedy and ends with another completely separate event. And so you know you're building towards something, and there is time limited. And so you're just sitting there, like, on the edge of your seat waiting. Is this going to be it? Is this going to be it? I'm pretty sure that's what you're supposed to feel when you're reading a thriller or a suspense novel. However, like, my favorite part of this book, though, was the ending, guys. Like, the way everything comes together and finds its completion just made my heart so happy. Like, it was brilliant writing, it was brilliant character work, it was a brilliant way to end this book. I love books that have kind of this plot structure where you have all of the feels, but you end up so satisfied and happy with the way it ends. That is just, I loved it. I was dancing when I finished this book. I was so happy. Primarily because I was right about a lot of things. I won't lie, I did figure out the twist, but that is because I am Margaret, and Margaret likes to figure out all of the plot twists before they happen, and she gets very happy when she does that. I have friends that won't see movies with me because I once leaned over and told her exactly how the movie was gonna go. And she was so mad at me when it went that way. We were 10 minutes into the movie, and I was like, this is happening, and that is happening, and this is how it ends. And she was so mad. But that, like, I get so much joy from that and from figuring out what is going to happen. I don't, like, if I am surprised, I enjoy it, but I don't feel the need to be surprised. I would much rather be right. You guys know the drill. If you enjoyed this review or you found it helpful at all, please give us a thumbs up. Also, you can hit that red button that says subscribe if you are not already. I would love to see your lovely face here on a regular basis. And please, if you have any recommendations for like a thriller, suspense novel, that kind of thing, something that sounds similar to this, or something that because of how I like this, you think I would like that book, let me know. I am always looking for more books to read. Have you read this book? I would love to know what you thought of it. If you would like to see more of my bookish thoughts, you can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Those are both at the word nerd, and don't forget that is a 3 in nerd instead of the E. I also have a blog that I run where I talk about all things reading and writing. That is where I do my monthly wrap-ups. That is where I talk about my own personal writing projects, and I talk about like how to be a bookworm on the internet and work with social media. I do some posts on that as well. That is it for now, my friends. I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!